All right, Saints, I've been loving what I've been seeing in the chat, and it's always confirmation just how the Holy Spirit just aligns the revelation of these things. Let's get right into it. Luke chapter 22, we saw our passages yesterday. We see Satan enters Judas, right? We can agree there. And then today in our text, we see that the disciples are sitting at the table with Jesus, meaning Satan in Judas is sitting at the table. In a very real sense here, we see David's words that he penned in Psalm 23 come to life. Thou prepares a table before me in the presence of my enemy. And we must pay attention to the actions, the behavior, the interactions, the interpersonal stuff that's happening at this table with Jesus. And what I want you to notice first is that Jesus did not tolerate Judas. No. He didn't tolerate him. He didn't give him attitude, none of that stuff. You know what Jesus did? He served him. Y'all don't want to have church today. He served Judas. Dipped his bread in the same bowl with Judas. I saw y'all, there was some chatter about forgiveness. We see it right here lived out. And what's so powerful about this display of this kind of forgiveness is that the forgiveness has happened. In Jesus' case, it has happened. It's been extended before the actual crime has been committed, before the actual betrayal happens. Yes, Judas, he did the exchange of money, but he hasn't actually turned Jesus over yet. And so knowing that that's coming, Jesus still serves him. Knowing what Judas has agreed to do, know what he's planning to do, knowing how painful the betrayal would be and the pain and the agony that would come from Judas's decision to do so, he still sat down and broke bread with him. Jesus did not wait for Judas to apologize. And some of you are waiting for people to say sorry before you forgive them. Jesus doesn't show us that here in this. He forgives Judas without an apology, without the request of forgiveness. And even with all that, Jesus didn't put distance there. Not saying you shouldn't. There's a such thing as healthy boundaries. Jesus didn't put distance there. He still sat at the table with him. Some of us can get so hardened in our hearts, we can't even stand being in the same room as somebody who has offended us without rolling our eyes or getting an attitude, smacking our teeth, gossiping about them behind their back. But whereas we see our example here, our blueprint, Jesus, who sits down and he serves Judas. And one thing I love about this text is that Jesus didn't allow what he knew Judas had done and what he was about to do. Jesus didn't allow that to change what he had going on. This is how you know if it's real forgiveness. Jesus still had his meal. He still stuck to his plans and agenda. And he didn't let what Judas did change how he acted, how he functioned, and how he interacted with the rest of them. Because sometimes we can allow the pain and the offense that we've experienced from others to put up these guards to now what they did is bleeding over into all these other relationships sitting at the table. And now we can't gain what God has placed us in community to gain because we have walls of pain that we think are protecting us, but it's keeping levels of restoration out that God has ordained to be in this season. Jesus shows us here that there are some people, this is just life, right? There are people who will sit at your table. They will eat what you prepare. They will benefit from your presence and still betray you. If Jesus wasn't exempt from this, why do we think we are? I don't get it. But even with all that, Jesus didn't let the pain of what he knew Judas was doing change who he was. Jesus shows us here that he can see the betrayal coming, but he still chooses love. He still chooses to serve. He still chooses fellowship. And he shows us that I won't become so guarded to the point that I become ungodly. Because I want you to know today that is a such thing. This shows us that forgiveness is not always reconciliation. It does not mean things are going to go back to the way they were before the offense. But this text shows us, Jesus shows us, forgiveness is always a decision of the heart. I will not let what you did to me harden my heart or change my character. And I pray this is encouragement to you today. Jesus, he identified the betrayal. He knew it. He called it out. And he walked forward in purpose anyways. And that is my prayer for you today. Happy fasting.